Good afternoon. This Monday's Wealth Creation Show. Jim, we're on episode 91.
That's mental.
I know.
But then it's a discipline, it's a commitment to actually keep it going, I suppose.
Yeah.
You knew I wanted to do the first year and the 52 episodes, but I'm no surprised. If people out there want it and they're still listening to it, which they are, we know that, and they're still tuning in on it and they're getting some value out of it. I mean, that's the most important thing. There's no point in doing it if nobody's getting any value. I'm not here for the good of my health, but I'm certainly here to put something down in actual timeless content, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So in the next hour, we'll be talking about wealth mastery mindset. What is wealth mastery? What's it all about? Is this guy just talking rubbish or gibberish? That's really what it comes down to. But you've got an opportunity to ask questions. You've got an opportunity to contribute to this as well. Anybody that's in there, and if the questions are relevant, we will cover these questions. If they're not relevant, we will cover it at the end. So for people on TikTok, people on Instagram, and all the YouTube channels and the social media channels, the personal channels we've got ourselves, on Twitter and all the rest of these channels, then by all means, we will answer your questions about this. But what is wealth mastery in the beginning? What can we define wealth mastery as? What is it?
Well, from what I know, you've come across it in the years, Jim, and we'll go into that a bit more. But for what I could tell, it's really about your beliefs and how they have a profound effect on how you perform, your views on things, and how your beliefs are actually predominantly inherited from possibly your parents, and how you've adopted these beliefs and how they actually affect your life and how your beliefs can actually change your life.
Okay, well that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, we're all born with we're all born with the same advantage as everybody else. I mean, we can get into the social disadvantages that people have, but we're all born with an empty mind, if that makes sense. We've just got the inherent behaviors, going back to caveman days, animalistic. It's the flight or fight response. It's the fear of loud noises and the fear of heights. I think that's the two things.
I think heights and
you're afraid of. Right. Loud noises and heights, because obviously heights can kill you. So it's inherently built into you when you in your DNA when you're first born. And obviously loud noises is like, whoa, wait a minute, something's going on here. So that's the sort of mindset we're talking about. But applying it to what is a wealth mastery mindset, is you're absolutely right, Richard. We all have the same advantages and disadvantages. You have to play the cards you're dealt with. You can. Let's be honest. Let me say, you can piss and moan about this all your time, and it's like it's no fair. I've been dealt this set of cards, and I've been dealt that set of cards, and it's and you're going to have to get off that sort of that victimization mindset about I'm a victim, and actually change that around and actually say no, I'm not a victim of this. I'm actually going to be a survivor and a successor of my unusual circumstances, what I've got now. There's no one in this world that hasn't gone through something that you've gone through before. So changing your beliefs can actually change your life. I think that's what that is. I mean, changing your beliefs can actually change your life. There's no doubt about that. Anybody out there that wants to tell me something different, then you tell me why that is different. And I'll show you something different, definitely, because this is what this is all about. So what are we thinking about when we talk about can your beliefs change your life?
I think what a lot of people fail to realise is a lot of their deep-rooted beliefs, and they're usually inherited from their parents and things, and they really determine how much money you could make, and who you'll marry, what kind of home you're going to live in, the clothes you wear.
That's no for the likes of us.
Everyone's
heard that at some point in time in their life where one of their peers has turned down to them and said, "That's no for the likes of you, Sonny." Or
that's with people.
Or what makes you think you're so special?
Yeah,
we've probably even said that to ourselves. This wee voice in your head probably said that to you. What makes you think you're so special? You can step out the crowd and actually be fundamentally different to everyone else and be actually successful in whatever it is you're trying to be successful in. Well, that is exactly what we're talking about your beliefs.
You also get like a lot of people and a lot of successful people still get that kind of like imposter syndrome. and they don't believe they're meant to be where they are. Do you know? And it's like, and that is down to that is down to what's really ingrained into everybody for a
It's
young
like,
age. And
I'm just Jim.
it's
It's like, how have I amassed all this? Where does this
yeah,
all come from? I'm just Jim. That's it. I've done nothing different as far as I'm concerned to everybody else has done. I know everybody else looks at me and then looks at what I've done and then hears about what I've done and they go, flipping heck, I've not done anything like that at all.
yeah.
I just thought everybody did that.
Mm-hmm. You were just doing you, and then ended up where you were. But I think it's important that people realise you can actually change your beliefs, and the way you think about things, and your approach to things, and your mindset can be changed. Sometimes it's not always easy, but it would really benefit a lot of people to change the way they think about things. Because as I said, it does really impact you as an entire person and everything that you actually do, and ultimately then transpires into your success and money and everything that we talk about on the show, and things that will really put you in a better position in life.
I think the type of things I used to get told when I was younger, I used to remember it vividly. I got a row for this one time, and the fact that my father said to me one day, money, or my mother actually said, money doesn't grow on trees. Now, I'm quite logical, and I then thought about it for a wee while. I was very, very young and naive, obviously. I didn't realise that was a sarcastic comment. Money doesn't grow on trees. And I thought to myself, well, money is paper, and paper comes from pulp, which is actually from trees. And I went, yeah, it does. Because literally that's what it is. And I tell you what, I got a heightened for that. I got a heightened for that because of the fact that money doesn't grow on trees, and I thought, yeah, it does. But I was so young that I thought, well, that's how money's made. So why does it not grow on trees? So I didn't understand the relationship between the sarcasm behind that. But then, as I say, you get your peers that say, that's no for the likes of you, Sonny. Just avoid that. You're not going to be any good at that. I would actually say to a lot of people, if you go to school and you find out this is what I heard recently, and I thought, yeah, there's some merit in that. And you find out you're getting pushed to study physics, for example, but you're a great mathematician, you're getting A's and distinctions in mathematics, and you've only got a C in physics. Then maybe you should lean into mathematics at school, and maybe mathematics should be your primary aim. Because no one wants to have a C-grade physicist later on in life, do they?
No.
But we are encouraged to even scrape past an exam level because this is how our system's built in order to make attainments in certain spheres of education. But it's like you're never going to use C-grade physics for the rest of your life, are you?
No.
You're not going to become a physician with C-grade physics. You'll not become a scientist. You'll become a brilliant mathematician if you lean into maths. If you're a real literate and English is your thing, maybe lean into English. Maybe it's because it's what you enjoy, and then learn how to have so much enjoyment out of that and happiness out of that. Then monetize that. Be the best at that. That's what I think we should. This is where I think we should actually evolve, and that all comes down to beliefs, and it's all down to what you've been taught round about you when you're growing up.
Yeah, at those early stages of life, you are very impressionable, and I think that who you have influencing you is really important. And I think everything you do is controlled by what you believe. Our beliefs and our views, our judgments, our entire way of thinking, what we believe in, and what we believe is true or false, right or wrong, and the conclusions we draw throughout life all come back to your beliefs. And very seldom we actually choose or consciously choose our beliefs. We usually inherit them from, like I say, our parents and the environment around us. Just like you say, Jim, at school and things as well. That has a big impact on you, your teachers, and what you're actually studying and how you're taught as well.
My teachers weren't great at school. I tell you what, they weren't great at all. In the early days, yes, they were very ambitious. All the teachers were I remember a lot of the teachers were very ambitious. You had the old school ones that had been there for years. It's like, almost wrote you off when you walked into class, that sort of thing. And that's not exactly the inspiring teachers you need round about you. But that's the hand you're dealt with, and that's what you've got to deal with. And everybody's got that same. See, the thing here is, everybody walks into that class, but everybody's got the same advantage and disadvantage as everybody else. because the environment in the class that you're in is exactly driven by the teacher, and the teacher's the one that's behind it. So if the teacher's actually motivating and about self-improvement and actually getting the young people to actually get the right qualifications, unfortunately they're driven off a different track, not through any of their own doing. And their beliefs are nailed down to the wall as well, and the fact that they've got to get attainments in order to get
It's just
people to
like
pass.
they'll have benchmarks and things that
That's
what
their
they need to
objective.
do as a
Yeah. And they get rewarded based on the number of people that pass. We're not interested in getting everybody to excel in what they're doing. It's like, I need this person to pass O grade art, but O grade art, the reality is this person is a fantastic mathematician or a fantastic. So why on earth would spend all the time doing O grade art? Oh, because we need a rounding in their education. It's like, no, maybe O grade art isn't what they should be doing right now. Maybe they should actually be spending more time in mathematics and more time in engineering, more time in home economics. We used to call it that. If your thing is all about baking, it's all about and making, it's all these different things. More thing about trades. If your thing's about plumbing, if it's about electrics, if you still get that at school, if it's about woodwork, if it's about metalwork and all the trades, then maybe you should be leaning into that. And then maybe we should be teaching them as well how to be self-employed and how to run their own business.
What did they call us when I was at Tech? I think it's Tech.
They're actually dependent on themselves in their own right. Maybe we should be teaching younger people to be completely dependent on themselves instead of dependent on the system.
Yeah, definitely. I think I was watching Sunday morning television, and it was Mylene Class was on it. She's brought out a book, and it's what was the title? What they don't teach you in school. And do you know what? And it's like it was really interesting and totally relevant. And it's like I think a lot of people as they grow up realize, God, I never got taught any of this at school, and it's basically how to live life. And it was really interesting.
Interesting that we're her, because Mylene Class is a typical example. They all had the same pulpit hearsay when they were on Top Stars. They all get into hearsay, and then look what happened to the guys. They just disappeared.
Yeah.
Look what happened to a couple of the girls. Mylene Class and the other one, I can't mind her name, but she went on to be television. She went on to television, and Mylene went on to America, into television in America, and doing a lot of things in there as well. So what does that say about they were all given the same opportunity at the same time, but it's their limiting beliefs. It actually, made them think it's like you're not going to do anything else. Or it's maybe the skills they acquired on the way, which is actually a lot to do with allowing you to have the beliefs. And this is what I mean. This is about what beliefs you actually have as a result of the skills that you gain when you're doing things. Hence the reason why I always read. Now, it will be a surprise to most people that how the 7 habits of the highly successful people, Stephen Covey, I've just started that now. And it's like folk will be going, "What? You've never read that book?" It's like, no, I haven't. I've read a whole load of other books, but this is the first time I've got into that one. 7 habits of highly successful people. And I tell you what, I'm only about 20 pages in, and it's like, wow, it's blown my mind already. And I think I've only got the introduction with Jim Collins of Good to Great and Better for Best or something. It's like, I've read these books as well, by the way, Jim Collins, Good to Great and Better to Best. They're fantastic books as well about how companies actually evolve and how companies become super great, and some people and some companies don't become that great at all. And it's that mindset within that company culture that causes that. But that's again down to beliefs of the people in there. It's all about the people within that organization. So if you've got a business and it's all about beliefs, about the people within that organization, if you're on your own or you're with a partner, then it's the beliefs between the two of you. If you've got a family as well, it's the beliefs between your family and how they grow up as well. If they see mum and dad is down the pub drinking every 5 seconds and they're never out of the pub, it's more than likely their belief set and their mindset is going to be along the lines that that's the life, that's normal life for them. That's normal behavior. That comes down to how do you train a flea to jump only 6 inches? And yet fleas can jump 3 feet, 36 inches. Yeah. You stick it in a jar, you put a lid on it, and it keeps banging its head, and eventually its head gets sore. And then when you take the lid off the jar, the flea only jumps 6 inches because it keeps thinking it's going to hit its head and it's going to be sore. So how do you think they train the army? How do you think they've trained the people in the army? It's the same principle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just repetition. Yeah,
they change their beliefs, they change their behavior. they'd instill it into them almost through the pain receptors, to the fact that you will encounter this pain if you keep doing this. So you have to follow this line every single time to avoid this pain. That's how they train them. That's how they discipline them. And that's what society does to us as people when we're growing up, as young people. We're trained by the culture round about us and the people round about us. And this is all about what are your beliefs when you're growing up.
Yeah, and that thing, as we talk about beliefs and people watching and things, I might think, well, what are my beliefs? People maybe don't take the time to actually determine exactly what their own beliefs are. So it's maybe worth individually sitting and thinking, right, okay, let's take a few minutes and think about what your beliefs are.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're doing the wealth creation show, so maybe think like how money makes you feel, or how do you feel about wealthy people? Do you know what I mean? What's your views on that? And maybe your feelings about starting a business or running your own business. How do you feel about that? What's your beliefs about that? And think about all those questions.
Do you know what my real belief is? If everybody just concentrated on themselves and making themselves better, the world would be a lot better place. instead of trying to sort out everybody else's problems before they sorted out their own. That's kind of what my beliefs are right now.
That's quite a good view. And do you know what that reminds me of? Do you know when you're on a plane and they're always like, put your own life jacket on first before you help somebody else.
Yeah.
That's what it immediately came in my head when you said that, and it's quite a good way to look at it.
And then if everybody sorted themselves out, then they could possibly help sort someone else out. Because how the hell are you going to help someone else if you can't even help yourself?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to help you how to make money. How are you doing? Oh, well, I'm on the dole now. Like, whoa, really? It's like, I'm going to help you with sales. What are you doing? Oh, well, I'm just doing a labouring job, round the corner. It's like, okay, is that in sales? Have you got any experience in sales? No, I've not got any experience in sales at all. I read a book once. It's like, if you've got no track record or experience in sales, how on earth are you going to teach someone else that? But people actually go about and do that, and they actually put that out there, and they're confident enough to get that message across. That almost like this, people are actually convinced when they watch them that they know what they're talking about. It's the classic when I'm at a quiz. Here's the belief set. People believe I know everything that comes out of my mouth is correct. So when I'm at the quiz and I go, no, it's Paris for the answer, but in actual fact, it's Berlin or something like that. And everybody else is going Berlin, Berlin. I go, no, it's definitely Paris, definitely Paris. And they change it all to Paris, even though we know it's Berlin. And then we go, it's Berlin is the answer. And everybody looks at me and I went, well, you believed me, didn't you? But you see, that's beliefs. Yeah, that's belief. That's what you believe
that you're right.
What you're being told by someone else, and that comes a lot down to the peer pressure round about you, and the peer group round about you as well. You are a sum of the sum of the people round about you right now. So if every single person, or the 5 people closest to you now, are all skint and they all can't sort out their problems, and they've all been divorced, and they've all been separated, and they're all fighting in court about who gets what and all the rest of it, and who gets the kids and everything like that. Guess what you're going to become? You see that every time, don't you?
Yeah, they say that's it. It's the 5 most the closest people that you associate with.
I remember when one of my friends was actually splitting up from his partner, and he came down to see me for advice, and I actually sat him down. I says, "No, just listen to him." And I says, okay, so, and he goes, but all the boys at work are saying, he's better getting rid of her. There's plenty more fish in the sea and everything like that. I says, is all the boys at work by chance maybe separated or divorced? And he went, yeah, they are actually. And I went, well, there's a surprise. Because it's their belief. And it's the group round about you that believe that. So this is what comes back to saying, it's that wealthy mindset. If you're wanting to be wealthy, you need to be around wealthy people. I mean, admittedly, you don't need to pay to be around wealthy people, but if you really want to be around that wealthy people, you maybe have to pay around, to get access to the courses and that they're on, and also network with other people. Hence the reason why you've got business clubs, you've got property investors clubs, you've got all these different organisations that do get-togethers and for like-minded people, because it's difficult to find someone out there. I'm away down on Sunday to a property investor meeting in London, And I got a personal message from the event holder, and I think he was actually quite humbled and surprised that I'm actually coming down. It's like, this is like entry level stuff. Why are you coming here? But you never know where it's going to take you. And I've every belief, I think there'll be people down there that I'll be able to speak to who actually will be able to give me a better insight into things that I want to learn about. So this comes back to beliefs. So, the few minutes to take about what your beliefs are about money.
Yeah, I think if you're watching the show today, then you will need to really ask the questions how you feel about money. What's your beliefs about money and wealth? And
let's pause for a moment. Let's pause, and give it a bit of thought. What is everybody's belief about money? Now, most people believe money is the root of all evil.
Yeah, everybody's heard that one.
Now, you've got to think about where the hell did you get that message? Who told you
no money
was the root of all evil? Because your circle at some point in time, someone said to you in your peer group, maybe a parent or something like that, money's the root of all evil. And because they were like, usually most people say money is the root of all evil, their skin. That's why they say it. Because they don't believe themselves they'll ever get money. So they want to tell everybody how much, I'm not really a failure because money's the root of all evil. And that's why I'm rejecting money. No, it's not. It's because you're shite at earning money. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's the short answer.
You can't attract money. You can't make money. You can't do anything. So you're going to convince everybody else that money is the root of all evil. And it's not. It's right up there with oxygen. You need it for everything you do. Try going to the bank and saying to them, I tell you what, I'm wanting to buy a house, but, actually just go and buy a house and tell them you don't want to pay for it. I don't really want to pay for it. It's like money's the root of all evil, so I've rejected money, but I want that house. Well, you're going to have to pay for it, aren't you? No, I don't want to pay for it. See, so try and do that. Try go to the doctor, a private surgeon or something like that. Try and go to the shop and buy juice, a can of Coke. Just go into the shop and say to them, I'm wanting a can of Coke, but I didn't want to pay for it. I've not got any money to pay for it, so I'm just not going to pay for it. So because I don't believe in money and I think it's the root of all evil. Well, it's not. You need money for everything. It's a fact. And the most thing talked about in our society is, guess what? Money. Everybody talks about it. And yet a lot of people actually try to reject it, but it's only because of their own failure and the whole process. But they then start to negative, and they then start to negate everybody else. They start to give everybody else negative about money. And then the other people then catch that, and then it's almost like a virus. They catch that, and then their belief is, oh, money must be the root of all evil because so-and-so said it. And then the next person they bump into, they've got that mindset a wee bit, and then they reinforce it by saying something else, and they go, oh yeah, that must be, money must be the root of all evil. And then the next minute, they're sitting in their house, and they're trying to pay their bills, and they're trying to do everything else, and they're thinking to themselves, how come I can't cope? Well, that's because you convinced yourself that money wasn't necessary to do anything, and that's why you are where you are. So you've got to think about, how does money make you feel, as you said, Richard? What feelings do you have about wealthy people? Do you really envy them? Do you despise them? Do you despise them? I'm talking to the people out there, though.
I know you are.
Them? Do you despise them? Or do you actually think, wow, you're pretty successful at what you do? How on earth did you do that? Because that's the sort of way I approach it. And what's your feelings about starting a business or running your own business? That's no for the likes of us. Why not? Why not?
Like you say, we've all got the same beginnings and the same chance as anybody else. It's what you make.
If not you, then why? Why not you?
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it comes down to. If not you, why not you? What's holding
running and starting a business? I mean, maybe it's not for everybody, but I mean, it should really have an element of excitement and things. That's the kind of feelings it would give me, and do you know what I mean, to do that?
A lot of people want to start their own business because they like the exciting process, but then when they get bogged down into the mire of accountancy, sales, follow-up, telephone calls, unsociable hours, all these different things, it's like, wait a minute, I only wanted to swing a hammer. That's when if that's the type of person you are, just go and work for someone else.
Yeah, we've had people work with us, Jim, in the past, and they've deviated off to start their own thing, but they just really didn't realise how much is actually involved. I mean, we break down what goes on in a business weekly, and it's so much that you just don't take into account, I think, and people overlook that. So
yeah. So what are your beliefs about all this? What are your beliefs about money? Your responses to everything? What are your beliefs about everything? You know, anything you're thinking about right now, what are your actual beliefs? What are you wrestling with in your mind right now? Because this is what's holding you back. Unless you can understand that and overcome that, or unless you can acknowledge the fact that that's holding you back, then you'll never move forward. So your responses to all these things will reveal some of your deep-seated beliefs. And once you've answered those, you'll be able to create a newer and more empowering, enriching beliefs about everything, about your whole life. This is actually quite interesting. You know, what's your thoughts on this, Richard? You know, when we're going on about this.
About I mean, it is imperative to know and remember that your beliefs are not right and they're not wrong.
Yeah.
Nor are they good or bad or whatever, but they are just beliefs. But it's also important to know that maybe you didn't choose them. Do you know what I mean? You're maybe living your life and believing things. And really, maybe if you stop and think about it, think, well, no, I don't think that's right. But because it's so ingrained and inherited in you to think a certain way and believe things, it actually holds you back. And that's what I think you need to remember.
This is a great one. This is a great one about people's beliefs about, you know, work hard. There's too much involved. I'm never going to get there. This is actually something that I saw today, and I thought this is actually right and important to actually show people in here. Look at this. Your journey in days. See how it goes up and down all the time.
Yeah.
You know, 1 minute you're on a high, next minute you're down, next minute you're up, next minute you're down, next minute you're up, next minute you're down, and then you go to months. And if these days are then smoothed out to, you know, a curvature. Months. 1 minute you're up, next minute you're down, next minute you're up, next minute you're down, and then it goes in years, and then years it goes straight up in a line, and years. So it's just going straight up, but it's going up over a long period. And then you look in decades. Look how it goes up in the growth. That angular curve, it goes right up. When you look back to where you are now in comparison to where you were 10 years ago, it's probably like night and day for a lot of people. And this is all about deep-seated beliefs. Because when people get into the mire of the day-to-day stuff, their beliefs is, this is too hard, I'm going to quit.
Do you know what that shows to me? And it's like people, and I've let this happen to myself as well. The ups and downs, the daily things, you let them get to you too much, and you don't think, you know. And it's like what you said, Jim. You said this to me a few times. This too shall pass. Do you know? And I think people need to always keep that in mind. Like, obviously, maybe hard just now, but tomorrow, the next day, you'll go on to something different, and it'll be fine.
First thing I was taught by my mentors, and I used to think you're having a laugh, because they used to say to me, it'll be different in 5 years. What you're doing now, you'll no bother. You'll look back in 5 years and laugh at it. And I thought, no, I won't. No, I won't.
That's true. It is.
But now it's true. You know, now I realise that they were absolutely right. It's you know, I look back now and think, flipping it, I've come a long way. And there was times where I thought I was bogged down in that you know, that limiting belief, and I had it. I've had this limiting belief at some point in time, even though everybody thought, flipping, hey, you're really successful at what you're doing. But I still had that limiting belief that I couldn't get onto that next plateau. This was me done at that level. And for most people, they're like, wow, I would have that any day. But for me, I felt that there's still something else to achieve. And I think that's just human behavior, but that's coming down to beliefs. And that's why people end up losing their way. I was talking about this morning to Ian about that, how people lose their way. And they get to a point in their life where they think, I've achieved everything. Look at Robbie Williams. I'm rich beyond my wildest dreams. He came out, do you remember that? Where he came out, I'm rich beyond my wildest dreams, because he had signed an 80 million record contract. And he said, at that point, when he looks back on it now, he said, that was the beginning of the end for me. He says, because that destroyed me, you know, because I just went, I'm rich beyond my wildest dreams. And then he didn't realise that, by the way, your record company's taking 90% of that. And you're left with £300.
I think he thought that he was getting 80 million in his pocket.
Yeah. And so
whatever it was at the time.
But his beliefs, and see how that held him back about the fact that he thought he was rich beyond his wildest dreams, but he had no realization about where he was right now, and he had no facts to back that up. He just believed that, and then it led him into a false sense of security about what was actually happening around about him, and he failed to actually take an objective view about where he was in that point in time. He just thought, I'm getting 80 million all at once, but he didn't realize he still had to do 5 albums.
There's a lot of work to go into it, yeah.
So he still had to do all that work here in this chart, this in the days. He still had to go through all this in the days. So it would come out into the months and into the years and into the decades. It would then go meteorically up to the top. Hence the reason why he's not with Take That anymore for that reason, because he didn't have that. I mean, they boys have just sold out all their gigs. I mean, you're talking about. I worked at the Hydro. And how much they're making in one night, and I think it's 2.5 million.
Really?
And I think, wow, that's brilliant. As well as Judy Murray and her son are doing some sort of an audience with Judy Murray and her son, and how he was he's the one that didn't make it, apparently.
Oh, the other son, right? Okay.
Yeah, and the other son, Judy Murray, and her other son.
I don't know his name.
Everybody's on social media castigating Judy Murray, going, you're just blooming, you're this and you're that.
Monetizing this.
And I just went on and goes, milk it for all it's got, Judy.
Yeah.
Because if there's an audience out there that's going to pay you to listen to you stand on stage with your son, your other son, and talk about your life and just have a laugh and a joke, then milk it. There's an audience for it. Why do there's a demand for it. Give the people what they want.
That's like the Kardashians and Kris Jenner, and everybody slates her. Like, oh, you've pimped out your family and made money, and I'm like,
do you know where she got that from? Do you know where Kim Kardashian got that from?
No.
She used to be the PA for
Paris Hilton.
Paris Hilton. She was our for Paris Hilton, and Paris Hilton, she went and did all the stuff for Paris Hilton, and she got all the contacts for the people she needed to speak to, and then she just went to all these companies and said, I could blow this up and be bigger. Look at what Simon Cowell did with Pete Waterman. When Pete Waterman did Pop Stars, Simon Cowell was like, I don't want to go on Pop Stars. What I want to go on Pop Stars for? When Pete Waterman says, come on, Simon, come on Pop Stars. You can be one of the panelists. And Simon's gone, beat it. I don't want any of that rubbish. And then he realized that almost overnight, Pete Waterman became a celebrity. And he went, whoa, wait a minute. There's power. There's eyeballs. And then he went, I'm going on for the next one. So he ended up coming on Pop Idol with, that was Simon. I can't remember Simon, whatever his name does it, had Pop Idol. So they went on Pop Idol. Simon Fuller. Now, this is the mindset. Anybody else, apart from Simon Cowell, would have thought, it's just, it's reality TV. I don't really want to get involved in that. They wouldn't see the bigger picture. But Simon Cowell had an open mind at that time. And he thought to himself, he had this belief that, wow, I could be bigger than what this is. And look what he did with it.
Yeah.
So people can castigate somebody like that, and they will. 50% of the people will castigate you and knock you down. 50% will hold you up and think, good on you. And by the way, tell me how you did it, or what can I learn off of what your journey did? That's what belief is all about. Having belief in yourself and the fact that you can achieve that as well, or some sort of success on that, or, even if it was a minuscule part of that. For somebody that's just starting out, I could get that. Or even I could believe it, I could run my own business.
Yeah.
You get people out there. I remember when I moved company. When I moved company, I had every belief that I was going to get another job, and I was going to be a far better job. And I ended up going to double my salary and a company car, and end up being a financial controller in a manufacturing, which was a management position at that time. And I had somebody in my previous job go, oh, you're making a big mistake. What?
Why would you think that?
I'm going to a company I'm running. I'm getting double the salary I'm getting here, and I'm getting a company car, brand new Mercedes, and I'm making a mistake. Job security, where I work. By the way, that company's out of business. But the company, you're making a mistake. But that was somebody, I held in high esteem. That was a counsellor, by the way, who is a counsellor today still. And they're the one that says, oh, I think you're making a big mistake leaving. Like, well, you don't know what I'm going to, or where I'm going, or what I'm getting, and yet, you're telling me I'm making a big mistake.
Do you know, that's amazing, because there'll be people out there that maybe would have listened and thought, oh, do you know, if they held that person in quite a high like a high rank and thought like, okay,
High
I'll
esteem. If
listen
they
to
held
you.
that person in
High
high
esteem,
esteem,
that's the word I was
they
looking
would have
for.
just rolled over and said, maybe I'm making a big mistake. And then
I'll
the
stay
seed
where
of
I am.
doubt would go in. Remember, I was reading at that time. The reason I got this job and I got double the salary and got the company car, because the person that was one of my mentors was one of the top recruiters in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
He went from minuscule in his organization in the same sort of system that I was getting plugged into, to a meteoric rise to one of the top recruiters in the UK. Out of everybody that's recruiting in the UK, he had the biggest book and the biggest commissions and everything. And he taught me, this is what you do when you go into an interview, Jim. You do that. And all I did was follow his pattern and do exactly what he said, even though I felt a bit uncomfortable about it because I'd never done that before. And I walked out with that job. And in actual fact, the managing director, after I'd spoken to the group director, walked out with me when I was getting interviewed. And he walked out at the end of it. After the group director says, "You're a cocky son of a bitch, aren't you?" And I went, "Whoa, maybe I've not got it now." And the managing director walked out with me and said, "That's a good sign, by the way."
You know, what I picked up on there, you said that when you done it, you felt a wee bit uncomfortable doing it. But then that's the whole point, and we spoke about that in previous shows, like pushing yourself outside your comfort zone
See how my
will
beliefs
allow
would
you
have kept
to,
me behind,
yeah.
though. My beliefs and my mindset at that time would have held me back because I wouldn't have gone for that. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have thought I was good enough to do it. But these people I was getting mentored by convinced me, yes, Jim, you are good enough to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You can do this. This is the whole thing about you used to open the paper and used to go, "Oh God, I could do that job." And then you looked at the salary and it was like 70 grand and you go, "Oh, maybe
Yeah.
that's not for me because that's too much money. I'm only on 20,000 an hour or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's too much money. I won't be able to do that job." Straight away, wrote that off just because the salary was a lot more than what you were getting, even though everything they said in there you could do.
Yeah.
That's the limiting beliefs that most people will have because they believe that they're only worth a certain amount. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would stick there because everybody else around about them is worth that as well. This is why I said to you at the time about my limiting belief about being able to retire. At literally 35-year-old, it took me to 38 to get over that.
To
So I
get
could
yourself
retire.
past, yeah.
I could have retired at 35 years old, but it took me 3 years to go, yeah, I can retire. Because it was like, no one else has done this that I ever know. How on earth could this be possible? This cannot be possible, even though it's sitting there in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yes, you can retire. You've got enough income to retire. You've got enough wealth to retire. You never need to work ever again. And you could just do 1.5 days a week doing your property business. And
Mm-hmm.
that's all you need to do. And you could travel the world anywhere you want. You could do that at 35. And I'm like, ooh, nobody's ever done that. I know.
And that held you back.
It held me back for about 3 years. It was
Yeah.
pain and torture for me to get over that. Mental. Absolutely mental. But that's my
It's,
limiting belief at that time.
yeah, and that's funny because obviously, and like we say, your limiting beliefs and things usually are given to you, and usually, like we said, at a young age, and it's probably through your parents or some other authority like the school or wherever that is. But after years of believing your beliefs and seeing evidence of them being true, then they become really a part of you, and it's really hard to shake that. They become part of your bones. But the good news is, you can choose and change your beliefs, and you could start doing that immediately. And I think that's really important for people who maybe have deep-seated beliefs and things that are holding them back. You can change that. You just really need to work on it.
There's somebody on TikTok says, I believe people from Fife don't have money. Well, I'm probably one. I'm from Fife, and I'm the top 1%.
But then a lot of people will have that
In Britain.
misconception.
That belief does not exist then, does it? I'm top 1% in the UK, and I'm from Fife.
But then a lot of people will have that belief that maybe are familiar or maybe outside of Fife and think, oh, it's really impoverished. There isn't a lot of money there. There's not a lot of people with money there. And that couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah,
So it's funny that how people have that belief, and I could see how people would believe that.
This is actually quite interesting. So I've got here excessive focus, Jerry. Thank you very much for saying this, because this falls in line with our truths now.
Okay.
Jerry believes excessive focus on wealth and money leads to negative outcomes like greed, selfishness, and unethical behaviour. Do we believe that?
I don't know, maybe not entirely.
Okay, so I would say excessive focus on wealth and money leads to, for me, allowing me to give away even more money to people that need it.
I was just the reason I say it's not entirely.
That's my belief about money. Money is there for me to attract as much as possible and make as much as possible to give it to the people that need it the most.
Yeah, the reason I say it's not entirely is because people have a different view of it depends on what their plan is to do with a lot of money.
Yeah,
do you want to...
Jerry is probably skint. I'll be honest, Jerry, I've got to say it, you're probably skint, because that limiting belief has obviously held you back about the fact that if you make too much money, it'll lead you to be greedy and selfish and unethical in your behavior. And that's not true at all. No. That is not true at all. You know, there's some of the richest people in the world, as far as I'm concerned. Warren Buffett has given away billions to people that need it. And the majority of his wealth, about 99% of his wealth, will be given away on his death to charities and organizations to help them. And he gave away 50 billion to a charity to help people for polio and cholera and, you know, to get rid of diphtheria and everything like that. So he gave away 50 billion. And that's selfishness and greed. I wouldn't think so. Yeah. And then you've got Elon Musk. Let's look at Elon Musk. You know, you could say selfishness and greed, and depending how you want to look at it, but then look at Elon Musk. He actually put everything on the line, all these millions, the 300 million he got from selling PayPal, you know, to an organization. He got that. He put it all on the line to do the space program, but he all put it on the line as well to do Tesla electric cars, because he fully believed that electric cars were the way for the future, and people need electric cars in order to get the, you know, for environmental purposes. Now, whether you that knows entirely up to you, but it's a set of beliefs you've got in your head about this, and it's educated by who you're listening to and what facts you're deriving from. But then you've got to think about why did he want the space race? Well, he said he wanted the space race and he wanted to go on the space race, not for anything to do with the fact that he wanted to do space. He felt that colonization on other planets is necessary for the human race to survive. So that's why he's doing it. So he put everything on the line again in order to get that contract, in order to have private space travel and get NASA to push us into space and then look at colonization on the planets. Now, he could have just been selfish, unethical, and he could have just been, you know, negative and greed and all the rest of it. He could have been like that.
All himself and done nothing yet.
Okay. But he actually doesn't earn anything at all. He literally lives on people's couches. He lives on his friends' couches because he believes that he doesn't need to live in 5-star accommodation. He just dosses on his friend's couch because that's his belief. He doesn't need all these things. Yes, he's accumulated all that wealth, but it's no through his own doing. It's the fact that everybody else wants to invest in him.
Yeah.
And all he's doing is allowing them, and that pushes the price up, then pushes his stock up as well. He's not asked for that. He's just doing what he does for the good of what he believes is the good of mankind. So I would disagree in the fact that what people like that have done has led to greed, selfishness, and unethical behaviour, because it hasn't, as far as I'm concerned.
No. And it kind of touches on, we done a show a few weeks back, and it was about wealth and how, obviously, it was about saving and spending, but also sharing and the benefits of actually accumulating wealth and sharing it with others and using it to benefit the people around you, and like Jim, you do a lot for the community and put a lot back in, and you know, and put that to good use. And I think there was an example we used about a woman that you had spoke to, and she's like, she could have made her business model so much more successful and monetize it, but she says, I don't need all this extra money, and you advised her, well, do it anyway and then give it back. And that's the thing. It's what I think, if you're accumulating a lot of money, it's what you do with it.
If here's my belief. If you have the opportunity to make a lot of money, but you don't need it, go and make it and give it to the people that need it the most.
Yeah,
in your opinion. That's my whole mantra. That's my whole thing. You know, I could happily sit on the beach. I can go around and travel the world for the rest of my life, not a care in the world. I could sell everything up tomorrow, And I could be, that's me. And my rest of my generations of my family could be like that as well. They could look, that could look after them as well, purely just on the interest and the money it makes. But the reality here is there's a bigger purpose here.
Yeah.
I fully believe, this is my belief, I've been put on this earth to serve other people. Who these people are, I do not know, and I'll probably never know. But the fact, and I serve other people, the thing I'm good at the most is making money. It's generating income, making money, making profit, not sales, making profit. That's the thing I'm good at the best. And turning that into cash. And that cash then goes to help somebody that needs it the most. That's what I'm good at. And that's what I believe I'm here for. And that's what I reconcile myself to the fact that I'm here to serve other people to the best of my ability in the best way possible. So that's my truth. So, you know, money isn't evil.
Definitely.
Money doesn't have a mind of its own. Money doesn't cause anything. Money is merely a medium of exchange. So let me repeat, money is merely a medium of exchange. One value for another. That's right.
Yeah. I think
you really need to adopt a new beliefs about money. That's what we need to do here. Everybody out there, I'm not caring what you think right now. You need to adopt a new belief about money if you think money is the root of all evil, or if it's evil, because you're never going to get anything out of life, and you'll be pissing and moaning for the rest of your life about it, and you'll be really upset about it, and the people around about you'll be really upset about it, and most of them will probably leave you and go and get into groups that are actually a bit more aspirational, because they don't want to be around you because you're Mr. Neggy or Mrs. Neggy. You know, nobody wants to hang about negative people, unless you're a negative person. Misery loves company, is the expression.
Definitely.
So ultimately, you know, if you change your limiting beliefs about money and about that money mindset, you can open the door to your financial freedom in some shape or form. In one way you do it. A lot of people do not believe they could be millionaires, but I could guarantee you, every single person in Britain could be a millionaire over the long term. All they need to do is put a certain percentage of their income away every single month, and discipline them to do themselves every single month, put that percentage away into a fund, and when they go to retire, they will be a millionaire. And yet, when people retire, the average retirement is £30,000 that people have got in their fund. That's mental, eh?
No, that's crazy.
Who's gassed it? Who's blown it? Who's had this limiting belief that's actually held them back all their life, and they've got nothing? Because £30,000 to survive on, you've had it. You're on a state pension, and in years to come, most of the society will not have state pensions at all. There'll be nothing left.
But by the time I get to that,
we'll be back to universal credit. We'll be back to universal credit. Well, pension credits for the people that can't afford to retire. We'll be on pension credits, and that'll disappear as well. You will work till you die, literally, because of that. And that's something that I have a great fear about. That is my belief, and the fact that my children will end up working to the die unless I do something about it now. Hence the reason why I've done something about it now. And they all got pensions from birth, because I believe that they'll be well off when they're later on. And I thought, what I need to do that? Pensions from birth. As soon as they're born, the tax man gives the instant tax relief on top of it. So you can put in 2,880, tax man tops up to 3,600 every single year.
So Jim, I bet
that's a healthy amount.
Yeah, and you've advised a lot of people about that over the years, and I bet you not one of them already knew about it.
I bet you not one of them have probably done it. Honestly, I bet
well,
you
it's
not.
all about taking action. It really is.
The amount of people that I tell hundreds of people what they should be doing to make more money all the time. Hundreds, if not thousands, well, probably thousands when you think about what we're doing here. So we tell thousands of people every single time, this is how you make money, and literally none of them will do it. You'll not have.
Gary said this one has.
Yeah, Gary. Right, okay, Gary.
Well done, Gary.
But Gary, there you go. Gary is probably in the 5% group. Well, he is in the 5% group because he's gone and done it, and he's stuck with it, and he's disciplined himself to do it. And that's what immediately separates you from the 95% of the population who work for someone else for the rest of their life. They'll actually die broke, or they'll die before they get there, or they'll live on a pension they couldn't afford to live on in the first place in terms of monetary terms. But people like Gary, People like myself go about and we just immediately go, no, this is what we have to do. We see the long-term vision and we stick to it.
Yeah.
Farmer mentality. What do you think the farmer does when he goes out? You think he could go, I tell you what, I'm going to skip sowing the seed this year, but I'm going to harvest the crop later on anyway.
Yeah.
He's got no chance. If you're not sowing the seed, you're not getting the crop. That's it.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, a farmer has got to be the most disciplined career ever in farming. You've got to get up, rain or shine, or snow, or sleet, or anything. You've got to get up as a farmer, at probably 4 or 3 o'clock in the morning. You've got to work all day. You've got to work all weekend. You've got to work all season to make that happen, to get an income. On the premise that what you do right now, you will get in the next 6, 8 months or 9 months. That is the pinnacle of investment strategy, and the fact that invest now, reap later on.
To reap the harvest later, yeah.
And that's the thing. But could you imagine a farmer going out and saying, I tell you what, I'm not wanting to, I didn't want to water the crop this year. It's like, I want to save some money on the water, but there's a drought. It's like, but there's a drought. It's like, if you don't water them, they'll die and you'll have no harvest. But I'm just going to miss out this year. No. So you have to discipline yourself to do that. And that's where it comes down to what you believe is actually capable. So let's go back to money again and talk about the new belief about money.
Yeah, because it's interesting what you say. A lot of people do have this view on money being a negative thing. And it's interesting what you say about money as merely just a medium in exchange. It's what you actually do with it. So people really need to change their beliefs about money. And really consider taking on new beliefs off your own about money. So let's run through a couple of things. And it's like, and for me as well, I think money gives you freedom and security. I think they're the two main things when I think about money.
Money gives you time.
Yes.
Time Lord. That's what I am. Property Time Lord. That's what I do. I bought back my time. My time is mine to do whatever I want. And the most precious thing you'll ever have, you'll never lie on your deathbed and think to yourself, I wish I had more money. But you'll certainly say, I wish I had more time.
Yeah. And I think ultimately, if money's going to buy you time and freedom and security, ultimately, it's going to put a big smile on your face. It's going to make you happy.
Now when I started thinking about it.
Yeah, I know.
I had a big smile on my face come up straight away and thought, wow, money bought my time.
Yeah. And that is something that's going to make you happy, definitely.
I tell you what, money for me, I help my family. So my brother was trying to buy a house somewhere else. He had conditional upon his house getting sold, but he wasn't able to get his house sold in time to get it. So I stepped in and actually gave my brother the money to buy the house. Now, I just put a bond on the house. In other words, I became the bank to my brother.
Yeah.
And then when my brother sold his house, he just gave me the money back. As simple as that. So that money allowed me to do that for my brother. He wouldn't have that house, and he's still got that house today. So then the other thing is, money allows you to look after other people. For example, when somebody fell ill, I was able to step in and actually give them money in order to keep them going, because if your income's based on your ability to perform, which is time equals money, work for someone else, or you're a self-employed plumber or a self-employed electrician, self-employed business, but you've not really got a business. You've got another job, but you're just self-employed. So you're on your own, basically, working in that business. You've not got a business. Be honest with yourself. You've got a job. So you've got to make sure that you're working all the time to earn. So if you go on holiday, nothing gets earned. So that's why you have to have something else all about it. So you make sure you've got something else run alongside, so it gives you that, so you can help yourself, but also help other people. There's other things as well. Look at the things I do for the cats. I'm a sucker for cats. And they are still communicating with the people in Spain. And we've now got a cat protection organisation who I'm going to give the money to, and they will look after the cats, spay, neuter, and release them. And they will look after them. So the one in Jamaica as well, I did the same thing. And so it allows me to do these sort of things. But look at the amount of charities as well that we contribute to every single year. So since we've done this and we've as customers, our customers allow us over the last 5 years, I think it was, to give away £100,000 in income. £100,000 in cash to charities, local organisations like the food banks, like the events for families who don't have much, you know, free events for them as well. All these different things. Purpose things in East Neuk, for example, the Manx Beauty, £1,000 to them, because that's going to provide a project with everybody else in order to develop skills of the younger people, which all these skills are now getting lost in boat building, because people don't build boats anymore. And the mentality as well, you've got that boat's built of a certain type of wood, and that wood has to be grown on a tree for 100 years' time to actually replace all the bits in the boat, because you need the same wood. So it's teaching all these kids about the farming mentality and all these school children about the farming mentality, about the fact that we're going to have to plant these trees now in order to build the wood to replace all the wood on that boat late in 100 years' time. You might not even be here, but you've got to do it now for the next generations. Well, look at the skills that teaches all these younger people. Unbelievable. We should invest in all our local organisations and do all these things. So I do assess them. I don't just do it with everybody, but I do assess
the background
and who's going to benefit out of it. Autism Rock's another one. We did something for them recently. They did an Amazon list. So I tell you what I did. I just bought everything on the Amazon list. And just gave them it, and they were like, "Wow!" but that's what it's there for. That's what Fife Properties is to me. It's a vehicle to give back to the community. That's what Fife Properties is to me. So the more people that use us to sell and buy and let and do anything, it makes us money. The more I can give back to the local community, and the more people are getting employed as well as a result. So kind of like a social enterprise, but not an social enterprise. The reason for that is because as soon as you become a social enterprise, you maybe get charity status, but you lose all control. And that's what I don't want, because then it's like, oh, we're going to give it to this. No, it's local people, it's local community, it's local efforts.
That's the important thing, I think.
Sort of thing. So that's my beliefs about who you help. You can do anything with an abundance of money when you think about it. And creating money is fun, I suppose. That's what you've got to think. Your new beliefs have to be creating money is fun.
Yeah, definitely. And
if people round about you start thinking there's, it's like, well, why are you doing all this and why are you making all this money, and start trying to pull you down and tear you down, it's like, get rid of these people. Just like, okay, thanks very much, bye-bye. Find new friends, I would say.
So I think it would be easy for us to go against the grain here and say, or the majority, and say, money does make you happy.
Look at this right now. Look at all this. Is this for me? This isn't for me. This is when I go to places like Edinburgh, Glasgow, and all the rest of it, and somebody's on the street and going, I'm struggling. I need money. So they've not got a card machine with them, so I carry cash for that reason. They don't do this cash in my pocket for that very reason, to give away to people that need it. People in the street are sometimes struggling, and the people that I know, obviously, we've got a kind of special brew or something like that. That's a different purpose. It's like, you need more help than that. You don't need money, because that's going to make it worse. You need more help from the proper people. But I'm talking about people that genuinely, look, I need 30 quid for the hostel for that night. I don't know. The hostel, I'm in, I've got a warm place to live for that night. And if I can do that, I can do that. Whatever they do with it is that. But I tell you what, tell me one person that if I handed them £100 wouldn't smile right now.
Everybody would. Anybody would.
Even
if somebody that's got money.
What's that for? What? They'd be thinking there's something wrong. It's like, no, there's no strings attached. I remember walking past this. Now I remember this old gentleman. He was in Edinburgh. He walks about with his wee cup. He walks about with his wee cup, and he walks about with his cup, his paper cup, and he's clearly got a disability, because he's got his walking stick and everything, and he's got his beard and all the rest of it. Now, he does look, like he needs it. But I saw him one week when I was in Edinburgh, and then I thought, oh, wow. And I was too far past him to go back and think, I'll put something in. But just by chance, I caught him the next week when I was walking around the Vodafone just round the corner from the Vodafone Street, you know, and the Vodafone shop into Princess Street itself.
Oh yeah, you're on the
And
corner.
he was walking right past me, and I put 20 quid in his cup, and I walked on, and I just looked back for 1 second, and he just went, because he looked, and he's like, it just looked, and I tell you what, see the pleasure that actually gave me of doing that was nothing that you could feel. You can't get that high anywhere else. Now see how I did that. It's like it was a bit selfish me actually giving him money, because I think I got the better deal out of it. I got a huge high out of that.
You got the gratification, that feeling, yeah.
I tell you what, the very fact that he's got that now, it helped him in some shape or form, because he needed money. That's why he was walking about and saying that. It's the same when you go to places like Marrakesh. It's like, flipping heck, there's people sitting in the street with half their limb off. You know, they're just sitting there, and they're deformed or something like that. Really bad, I'm talking about. And they just have to sit there in the street all day and beg. That's it. That's all they've got. Because they've got no welfare system. Do you think they'll appreciate you giving them money? You're damn right they will.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And yet people out there go, oh, the money's the root of all evil. It's not to them, I'll tell you that. Definitely not to them.
Yeah, definitely. I think those are quite poignant and truthful things about money, and I think that's how people should really, if they don't have those types of beliefs, they should really consider changing them. And then I think you really need to think about choosing the right path or the right door, because if you're thinking that these beliefs are maybe just too way out for you, and you couldn't adopt them as your own beliefs, then you just locked that door. You just locked that door. To your own financial freedom, yeah. So I think, remember, if you're not going to take that route and keep that door closed, then on the other side of that door, that's where all the wealthy people are.
if you've got a closed mindset, this is what we talk about. And I used to talk about when I used to present my opportunity 35 years ago, actually, because I was trained in a network marketing. So we presented the opportunity, and we used to say to people, look, if you've not got an open mind, then this is probably not going to be for you. So maybe you should leave right now. There's no point in going through this with you. And nobody ever left. And you need to have an open mind in order to do this. And even on this, what we're talking about now, you need to have an open mind. If you've got a closed mind, this information will go right over your head, and you'll just believe these people are greedy. That's it. That's all you'll believe. And that's good, because it'll not change my life, and it'll not change your life. And if your life is the life you don't want just now because you've got lack of money, then maybe you need to change something. And it's your thinking. That's what it is.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're not going to be considered as evil by following these types of beliefs, and I mean, think on the contrary, you'd be able to play more with life, and it gives you a lot more freedom. You'll be able to discover your own peace, and do you know what I mean, that you never ever had before, or you never knew existed. I think that's quite important.
And here's another one what I talked about previously. Classic example is I've got a night shift I can do. I could maybe earn a couple of £100 for the night shift. I can't be bothered because I don't really need it for anything. Go out and do the night shift and give it to somebody who needs it. Then. Be a bit selfless for a change.
Yeah.
That attitude is a bit selfish. Oh, I can't be bothered. I don't really need it anyway. I tell you what, somebody else out there needs it more than you. And then you've got to think about yourself. Do you actually deserve what you've got just now then, if that's the way you look at it? Because we're all here to help other people. Some of us just don't realize it yet because of the program we've been given. And once you get into that mindset of you're here to help other people on their journey, that's when the abundance will actually flow towards you for that reason.
Yeah.
If you have that closed mindset, you'll never attract any wealth at all. Any wealth of anything. And I mean, when we go into that wealth, you'll never attract any wealth of anything. I'm talking about you'll never attract the right friends. You'll all have neggy people round about you. And then you'll never attract people that are wealthy because they'll all be poor more than likely round about you. You'll never attract people. You'll never attract the right partner you're after because they didn't want to be a person where a person that's got a negative mindset. It doesn't want wealth of anything at all. you'll never attract, your family will probably never want to be around you either, because you're just a neggy person. It's like, oh my God, here he comes. It's like everybody disappears to another room, that sort of thing. But also as well, you'll find, here's a classic, and don't be put off by this, but I find when I walk into particular rooms that everybody else leaves that room.
Why do you think that is?
Because they're all skint, and they don't want to be reminded how successful I am.
I was just got,
and what happens, and I don't really call myself a success, but this is what everybody else says about me. You're so successful in what you're doing, it reminds them of their failure.
I was just going to say, they're maybe a wee bit intimidated by the fact that
they leave the room
consider you quite successful. Yeah, they consider you very successful, and it puts them in a bad light, so they go the other way.
Well, in that instance, they had the same opportunity, and I did offer them that at the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, well, history's a great thing. History's a great teller. But people have no clue about what their lives are, how their lives are controlled by their limiting beliefs. And I mean, really, controlled. Yeah. Your life is controlled by your limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Right now, what you're telling yourself is exactly keeping you where you are right now. If you want to change where you are right now, and you want to be something better than you are now, you're going to have to change your limiting beliefs. And you have the knowledge and the guidance to change your financial situation. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah,
you have to, and you have to get around the right people that's going to help you do that as well.
Yeah, and hopefully a lot of what we've covered today and discussed about beliefs and how they have a profound effect on you and your ability to succeed and move forward, or let them hold you back, gives people that knowledge, or gives people that opportunity to maybe think, I'm going to take a step back here and look at myself and look at my own beliefs. And that's basically what the show is about today. And I think it's been quite good to hear a lot of your views on it, Jim, as well, especially since your journey's spanned over decades now. And you would definitely say that your beliefs and what the profound effect they've had on your journey as well.
Well, look at. Let's go back to the very beginning. On the Wealth Creation Show, I think it's episode 50, 52, and that I talked about, my how I started and how I came about. But when I went back to my teenage years, I was very bitter and twisted about everything.
Mm-hmm.
I had that mindset of, money is the root of all evil. I didn't believe in that at all. And then all of a sudden I was homeless and unemployed. There's a surprise.
Yeah.
That maybe just comes with it, that mindset.
Definitely. That just shows you how your beliefs impacted your position in life. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, when you look back on that, you think to yourself, oh, I wonder how that happened. And it's probably because of that mindset, that sort of particular way and that thought process. But I was very, very lucky just to have the right mentors at the right time. But then that's where opportunity and preparation meet at the point of readiness. Maybe what would happen is, I remember Fred Hardeyes, one of my mentors, used to talk about this. He says, maybe you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
And genuinely, I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired all the time about this situation. I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to change my life. I'm going to have to change my beliefs. I'm just going to have to change. I don't need to change everything, but I just need to change my mindset first. And once I start to change that gradually over time, and I start to be like that, and I start to think more positively.
Positively, yeah.
The Power of Positive Thinking, Norman Vincent Peale, that book is a very great book for anybody who wants to read. It's a bit religious, but if you can get over that hurdle, because remember, that's all about your beliefs about religion.
I was just going to say, a lot of people are like, oh, it's too religious, I'm not listening to that.
Oh, that's religious. I don't believe in religion. Hey, I'm not asking you to believe in religion. I'm asking you to embrace the fact that the positive mental side, the teachings of some of the Quran and some of the Bible and some of all these teachings that are in there, some of them are very, very good for everyday life.
Take the right elements from it and implement them. Yeah,
take that. Cast our bread on the water and it'll come back tenfold. And literally that's what it's all about. The laws of attraction. It's like you give out to everyone else, and at some point in time that will come back to you in the future. And might not come back from everybody individually, but will come back from other people, whoever that may be, because you project that right. You project that to someone else, and they're attracted to you as a natural result. That's how you find the right person. You know, you see that in partners and people that are paired up with people. It's like, you know, there is, it's weird. I've mentored some people before about this, and there's an amazing amount of women out there that says, well, he loves me. And it's like, what? Never mind the fact that now and again he has a go at you and hits you. Is that no? Does that no count? Aye, but that's my lot in life.
That's
what?
Crazy. But that's what some people are in that mindset.
Because they grew up in that environment. And I'm like, you don't need to accept that. You don't need to accept that at all. Move on with your life and forget that person. But some people, that's what they're like. It's just like, that's my lot in life. That's my only aspiration. That's and almost like everybody around about them and their peer group has actually told them, yes, this is what you deserve. This is what life's like. Because guess what? That's what life's like for them as well. They don't know any better.
Doesn't mean that it needs to be like that for you. Yeah.
They don't know any better at all. It's an amazing amount of people that are still with people that are like that. Puts them down, tears them down all the time. And I'm not just talking about women. I'm not talking about men. I'm talking about both.
Yeah, everybody.
I'm not marginalizing any groups of people. I'm saying that's what sometimes partners do to each other. But do you know, if you're the person tearing the other person down, and that other person is the person that's earning all the money, you're actually putting yourself at a disadvantage here.
Yeah.
Because every day you tear that person down, they're making less and less money. Therefore, you're not as prosperous yourself. As a result, you want to build your partner up as much as possible to be the best person they can ever be, because that will lead you to a life of abundance.
Yeah.
If you're, and it's like, no, I'm stuck at home and all the rest of it, and being really, and why are you at work, and why do I not get to do that, and why have I got to look after the kids? And this is men and women. It's like this is what goes on in between families, that limiting belief that keeps them back, and then they tear the other person down as a result of that, and therefore they're not as good at the promotion. They don't get this promotion because you're telling them that they're not worthy, and they're this and they're
they've got that niggling in their head holding them back. Yeah.
And then you're the one that wants a bigger house, and they can't get the bigger house because you're tearing them down at every opportunity.
That's a vicious circle.
Yeah, but they don't realize they're doing it.
No.
And then they both go their separate ways. And then in years to come, they look back on it and think, God, I really ballsed that up. I really buggered that up. Yeah. It's like, I could have done that differently if they're wise enough. But I'll be honest, most actually look back with their friends and go, yeah, you were good to get rid of him or her. You know, it's like, guess what? Because their friends are exactly in the same position.
Yeah, no, it's so true.
Should do relationships next week.
we're not doing relationships
next week.
But you know, I think that's quite a good point to finish on, Jim. And that brings us back to looking at the people around you and considering carefully about the people that you let influence you as well, because that has a really big impact on how you believe in things, and that ultimately leads to your own success and your own wealth. And that's basically where we're going to finish up today. But that was really good. I hope everybody enjoyed that. Of course, you could still jump in the comments on the reruns and things, and if anybody's got any questions, then we are happy to answer them. Yeah. And I'll finish it there, Jim. That was good.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks very much, guys. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks, Jim. Bye.